Hi, good morning. I am Ancy, Assistant Professor, Department of Biomedical Engineering from Emmanuel Research JJ College of Engineering. Today we are going to discuss about respiratory volume and respiratory capacity. What is respiratory system? Respiratory system responsible for breathing, taking in oxygen and removing CO2 from the body. The respiratory systems are classified into two types. One is external respiration and expiration, internal respiration and inspiration. What is external respiration? Exchange of gas between blood and lungs is called external respiration, and exchange of gas between blood and lungs is called blood and cells are called internal respiration. Now we are going to discuss respiratory volume. Respiratory volume refers to the amount of air inhaled or exhaled during different types of breathing. The respiratory volumes are measured by milliliters or liters. It can be depends on age, sex, physical fitness and activity level. The types of respiratory volumes are tidal volume, inspiratory reserve value, expiratory reserve volume and residual volume. Now we are seeing tidal volume. What is tidal value? Tidal volume is the amount of air inhaled or exhaled during a normal quiet breath. The normal in the healthy adult tidal volume is 500 ml. Then inspiratory reserve volume. Inspiratory reserve volume is additional amount of air that can be forcibly inhaled after a normal inspiration. That is the average in the human adult. Average inspiratory reserve volume is 2500 to 3000 milliliter. Then expiratory reserve volume. What is expiratory reserve value? Expiratory reserve volume is the additional amount of air that can be forcibly exhaled after a normal expiration. In the adult, the normal range of the expiratory reserve volume is 1000 to 1100 milliliter. Then residual value. Residual volume is the volume of air that remains in the lungs even after a maximum forceful expiration. This air can never be completely exhaled. The residual volume is crucial because it keeps a alveoli inflated. The average value of residual volume is 1100 to 1200 milliliter. Then we are going to discuss respiratory capacity. What is respiratory capacity? Respiratory capacities are formed by combining two or more respiratory volumes. They help in understanding the total air a person can move in and out of their lungs. These are the respiratory volumes and respiratory capacity diagram. In respiratory volume represents inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume, residual volume and tidal volume. Respiratory capacity mentioned by inspiratory capacity, vital capacity, functional residual capacity and total lung capacity. The respiratory capacity also classified inspiratory capacity. Inspiratory capacity means nothing but it is the total value of air a person can inhale after a normal expiration. In the inspiratory capacity may expressed in tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve value. The tidal value, normal average, human average tidal volume is 500 ml. Inspiratory reserve volume is 3000. Inspiratory capacity is 3500. Then functional residual value. Functional residual value is the volume of air that remains in the lungs after a normal expiration. It is the sum of the expiratory reserve volume and the residual value. Functional residual capacity equal to expiratory reserve volume plus residual volume 1000 milliliter plus 1200 milliliter. Average functional residual capacity is 2300 milliliter. Then vital capacity. The vital capacity is the maximum volume of air a person can breathe out after a maximum forceful inspiration. It is the expressed sum of the expiratory reserve volume plus tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve value. The average value of vital capacity is 4600 milliliter. Then total lung capacity. Total lung capacity is the total volume of air a person's lungs can hold after a maximum forceful inspiration in the sum of all 4 respiratory volumes. What are the 4 respiratory volumes? Tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve value and residual value. It also can be calculated as sum of vital capacity and residual value or inspiratory capacity and functional residual capacity. In the sense, total lung capacity equal to tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume plus expiratory reserve volume plus residual value. The average value of the total lung capacity is 6000 milliliter. Okay, thank you.